internet, it's Jessica and welcome to this Q&A about witchcraft. If you are new, you're interested, or just want to touch up upon different opinions or hearing from different witches, this video is going to be for you. So I put out a post a couple of weeks ago asking if anyone had any questions about witchcraft and wanted my insight on it. I have been officially practicing for about 6.5 years. Just in general, family folklore, and also part of my craft comes from Hinduism and Catholicism because that's what my family is. And yeah, that's just my background in case anyone's wondering. So I'm gonna answer your questions, so let's get into it. First question comes from Java the Witch. May I ask recommendations for learning about wards and protections for the ones casting and for others? So I have a couple that I would recommend, and they're sitting right in front of me. The first book I ever bought was Moon Spells by Diane Alakis. This is one of my favorite books that I've ever used because I am a witch that works with the moon phases and moon magic and stuff like that, and I thought this was a really good starting point, at least for me. And there are spells in here of how to cast certain things, how to do a circle, how to use the moon phases, what time of the day or what time of the month or year. And I do love that there's also different categories for certain spells, but there are a bunch of protection spells in here. She does have another book as well. I'll put it on the screen because I forget what it's called, but it's pretty similar to this one. What I love about this book is it gives a detailed description of what you need to do. And I want to say this too, when you're casting spells and you're reading it from a book, personally say you don't have to follow everything in said book because sometimes it doesn't resonate or it doesn't work, or maybe you don't have a certain herb or ingredient. So I feel it's okay if you need to change things, but make sure whatever you're changing makes sense for the spell. Don't just throw some random stuff in there just because. You need to make sure everything has a correspondent, everything matches and what you're trying to do. But I would definitely recommend this one if you're into moon magic. There's also, I feel a lot of people know this book, and it's the spell book for new witches. I feel this is such a good starting point too, because again, it just gets into certain spells. So for example, there's a protection amulet. It gives you the steps, gives you the ingredients, gives you how long said spell should take, and then also where to perform it, when to perform it. It's very detailed, and I feel this is such a beginner friendly book. But it also tells you what certain holidays of it, the moon phases too, certain candles that you need to use, what color magic could mean, what certain herbs mean. There's just a lot of information that is good for beginners specifically. So this is another one. It is by Ambrosia Hawthorne. Now another one, I feel every witch needs to have this book. This is Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, and this one pretty much tells you what every herb means, what you can use it for, what kind of spell, the correspondence, everything. This is basically our dictionary of herbs, pretty much. So if you want to, you can go through the whole thing. It will tell you what it looks like because it will have a picture of the herb too. Say the name, the folk name, the gender if you're playing with feminine or masculine energy, the planets, the elements, the powers, how you can use it in a ritual, the magical uses, and then also on the back there's also a list of the encyclopedia. So if you're looking for specifically money, and it will list all the herbs that you could use for a money spell and stuff like that, and of course for protection and things like that. This is honestly the book I use on a daily basis because I can't memorize every single thing of what every herb means, you know what I mean? So I feel this is the one that you're really gonna want to get just because it helps out a lot. And of course you can use Google, you can Google it up, but I like having this on hand just so I can know I have all the correspondence and all the ways I can use the herbs in one book. So highly recommend you get this one. And the last book I'm going to recommend is from Jason Miller. It is called Protection and Reversal Magic. I feel this book is a little more advanced, so if you're a beginner, I'm not saying don't get this book, that's not what I'm saying. I feel this is a little more advanced than a beginner, so I feel if you research more before getting this book. It probably benefit you much better, because generally speaking, what you get in this book, it says here, setting up early warning systems, appeasing angry spirits through offerings, performing banishing and making amulets, magical decoys, binding, certain spells like that. So like what you're looking for, like wards and stuff, this is probably one of the best books that you can get. There are certain things that are in this book that is not going to resonate with people, and even like for example, Hecate or Hecate is mentioned in this book, for example, and not everybody worships her or believes in gods or deities when practicing witchcraft, because everybody comes from different, like for example, I don't worship any deities or anything like that, but I still feel like the information you get in this book can still apply regardless of how you practice. So that's like kind of like what I said in the beginning. You don't have to like take everything as like this is what it means, like this is for all certain, because like again, everybody believes in different things. So but I still recommend this if you're looking for like protection magic and stuff like that. Still recommend these. So these are the books I would recommend. I'm gonna link all of them down in the description on where you can find it. And yeah, if you have any other questions about books, I have more books I could talk about, but these are probably the 4 I would recommend to beginner witches, because it's so broad in terms of like what kind of magic you're working with, or it can be applicable even if you don't worship deities or work with deities or gods. I still feel like it's still good to have these regardless. All right, this next question comes from Forte J. I want to do spells that aren't just majority like candle spells or fire related spells. I want to do stuff with other elements like water, air, and earth, and I don't hear much about them. Do you have any recommendations or tips or books or recommendations to cover more stuff like that? So again, the books, that's what I would recommend. Yeah, it's true. A lot of people don't really see different spells online, and I feel like in a sense it's a little bit performative because you're posting it on the internet, right? And it's kind of like, ooh, it's very pretty, because candle spells are very beautiful. I love a good candle spells. They're like my favorite because they're so pretty. But yeah, you can definitely do different stuff. For example, it doesn't even have to be so dramatic like a candle spell where you're dressing up something. It could be simple as you just drinking water. One of my favorite ways to do certain magic and using water is just drinking water. So if I have like a water bottle, for example, if I have a water bottle or something like that, it could be charged under the moon. I love making moon water, again, because I'm a lunar witch, so anything regarding the moon, I'm really all for it. So you can do that. You can charge it under the sun too, so get sun water, or if you've heard of sun tea, that's a thing. Same idea applies. And like I said, making tea, making drinks, you can do that as a water spell. So for example, you make a tea or water, or you're just drinking water normally. Once you pour it in there, speak to it. I know that sounds insane, but there has actually been a study that has been done that says water holds memories, and there is energy in that. So for example, if you're trying to manifest money, for example, you're gonna speak your intentions into your water, into your drink. It doesn't even have to be water. Like if you're drinking Mountain Dew or something like that, just talk to it, you know, because it still holds the liquid properties, the element of water. That's what you're working with. And if you want to go in a step further, you can research which elements mean which. So for example, a lot of the times we represent water with emotions, so that could be used for a healing spell, for example. And this is why I like recommending you know, using moon water in your baths or when you're washing your face or whatever, because you can use that for emotional healing, because water represents emotion. And you can do that, like doing a bath, putting herbs in there, saying what you want the herbs to do for you and the water to do for you. Same with doing skincare. I like to use moon water in terms of like using it to wash my face when I take my makeup off at the end of the day. I infuse that into my skincare. If we're looking at the other elements, earth is pretty easy in my opinion. Just go outside. Go outside and sit in nature. That is probably the easiest way you can connect with the earth energy. It could just be simple as like talking talking to nature. Like, I do that on a daily basis. I just go outside and let's just start talking randomly, especially the moon and stuff. I have this ritual where when it's a full moon, I sit outside at night and like talk to the moon, like all my troubles and stuff, because my idea of that being a ritual for the full moon is usually when you release something. So I just like to sit there and talk to her and just like say like what's bothering me and like let it go. So that it can be simple as that. I've seen people on here actually combine certain elements, so like fire and earth. People have been making earth candles where you dig a hole into the ground, pour some wax and put your herbs and whatever, and then you make an earth candle. And I think it's very beautiful. That one of those ways you can literally pretty much do whatever is basically what I'm saying. I just feel like you just need to research what the elements means and then figure out a way to correspond that, because it's a lot easier than people assume it is. People always think you need to do this like grandiose thing. For example, candle spells, you need to put so much herbs on, you need the oils, you need the crystals, it needs to be like dark and moody like you see on social media, but it really doesn't have to be like that. Like when I do candle spells, I use a birthday candle. Like I don't typically use, like, example, a 7-day candle. Of course I use them, but I'm not using this on a daily basis. I'm using those dinky little candle spells you put on a birthday cake. Because I don't have time. I only have like a couple minutes to do spells sometimes. So I will just use a candle spell. I'll throw a herb on there or two and just call it a day. It doesn't have to be so grandiose. So that would be my advice. If you want tutorials on like the elements of like what kind of examples I could do a separate video because I feel like it's gonna take a little bit longer, but that's just some ideas. I did forget to mention air. See, this video is all over the place. I will say for air though, you could just sing. I sing when I do spells. I dance when I do so. Music is like such a big part of like my spell work. I always have something playing in the background. So your voice can be used for air elements. Like, for example, talking to your spell. Even if you're not doing a candle spell and you're just talking in general, like right now, the way I'm talking to you, you can do it that way as well. Using incense, the smoke, you can draw sigils in the air with your incense stick. So the smoke that comes off it, or even like a bundle, draw sigils in the air and say what you are trying to do, like whatever your spell is. Example, I want to heal, self-healing, so I'll do a sigil for self-healing and say exactly how I want to heal. I want to heal this part of my life. I want to do it this way. I want to do it in this time frame. Like, be specific. Like, your voice is the most important thing that you have when it comes to doing your spells, and that alone is already using the air element. But yeah, I will do a separate video because again, I feel like it's gonna take forever, but I hope that answers your question. All right, this next question comes from G20. How do you do a money spell so you have money to buy spell supplies? I love that. I feel like I need to do a separate tutorial specifically for money spells, but I can just explain this in general. Like I said, you can use candle magic is the most popular one. Learn and research about color magic and the correspondence of like what herbs attract money. Herbs that you can use: cinnamon, catnip, basil, mint, and I guess bay leaf would be the biggest one that you can use. And if you want to use certain oils, there are spell oils from practitioners you can buy online. I will leave a link to a couple that I use if you're interested in that. But specifically, your last part of the question, I'm gonna say this right now: you don't need to buy certain things. I'm gonna be real honest with you, because think about it logically. Back then, with people practicing their spiritual practices, they didn't have Amazon, they didn't have Walmart, they couldn't just go down the road to a store and buy it, because oftentimes, there's a stigma about witchcraft especially. They just used whatever they have. Like, use what you have in your house. If you go look at your pantry, I'm sure you have cinnamon in there. I'm sure you have basil or bay leaf because you cook with that, right? You have it in your house. You don't specifically need to go out and buy all these things. You don't have to, because that's how I started. I didn't really buy anything. I just, like, whatever I had, I had it. And if I did buy something, it was just like when I could. So don't feel like you have to have like all these things in order to be a witch. Like, you don't need to. It comes from you. And even if like you could, like I said earlier, you can do something simple as just drink water. Like, it doesn't have to be this fantastical thing. I think it's okay to like build up what you have. Of course, it's nice to like buy all the herbs, all the crystals, all the tarot decks and stuff like that. But don't feel pressured to do that, is basically what I'm saying. Just look at what you have. I'm sure you have something that can work with, and you don't need like 5 herbs for like one spell. You could literally use one. use one. You don't even have to have candle. Here's an easy money spell. You want an easy one? Put cinnamon in your left hand, go to the front door or maybe the door of your room, blow the cinnamon into your door, ask for what you're asking for. So if you're asking for more money, ask for more money this month, ask for abundance. I'm gonna get more money at work, I'm gonna get a promotion, I'm gonna get a new job, I'm gonna get money through this, through that. You have to be specific on what you're saying, but that's the easiest way you could do a money spell. But yeah, please don't feel pressured to like buy all these things to do said spell, because I feel like you could do it without it. This next question comes from Velvet. What's the difference between sigils and runes and when to use them? That is a very good question. So I know specifically runes and sigils are basically like two different cultures. I'm gonna pull it up because I don't want to like read the wrong thing. So runes are originating from early Germanic language, and the 24 runes of Elder Frank were historically used for writing, divination, and inscriptions. They are traditionally carved or cast with practitioners drawing or laying them out and spreading to interpret challenges to gain insight similar to tarot. And for sigils, they're derived from Latin, which means little sign, and they are freeform symbols designed to manifest specific desires. And I feel like sigils are more personal than runes, because again, the word sigil, there's an origin to it, but when you make a sigil, it's you're making it specifically, you're making it into your own. And I can give an example of how to make sigils. I do have a video on here, I'll link it in the description, but if you want like a detailed way, again, ask me guys if you want detailed stuff, I'll make a separate video. But yeah, sigils are more personal than runes, because runes are, I have runes up here, they're already like, it's like the alphabet, like it's saying it's the alphabet pretty much. There's like a structured thing when it comes to runes, so certain symbols mean certain things and you can't really change it. With sigils, sure, there are like very well-known sigils out there, but you can change it, you can make it your own, you can make it personalized. So I feel like you can use both anytime in any place you want. Obviously with runes, there are certain runes for protection, for love, for happiness, yada yada. There's like different categories. Same with sigils, but you make it personal. So for example, if you want to make a protection sigil, first of all, watch that video that I have because it's very long to explain, but you would have that and you can make it more, it's more, in my opinion, it's more protective for you because it was made by you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's so much more personal because it was for you. Not saying that the runes wouldn't do anything, because they still do stuff. And of course, they still hold power. But I feel like, in my opinion, when it comes to your own craft, I feel like when you make something, it's much more stronger because you're putting your energy into it. Next question comes from Paris. Would love to know your take on how to trust and listen to your intuition and what to listen for. I've always been struggling. For me, as someone who is more logical. And you know what? You being logical is part of your intuition. Honestly, it really is. I feel like people think like you need to like know when someone's a witch or know that spell is like actually accurate. No, you questioning things is actually your intuition. You should listen to it. So if you feel in your gut this is stupid as you're probably right, because that's how I listen to my intuition. And obviously a lot of people have ways of interpreting this and doing things differently. This is from my experience. Whenever I tap into my intuition, it's usually like a stomach drop feeling. If I'm in a situation and something happens and then my stomach drops, that's usually meaning you should probably stay away from that. That's I've always had that ever since I was little, and I was always right. I don't mean to like, you know, hype myself up or anything like that, but genuinely speaking, if I felt that feeling, I was like, I shouldn't do this, so I wouldn't do it. And then it turns out I was right. I shouldn't have done that. So you being logical and questioning it is honestly part of your intuition, because that's also something that I like to strive for, is mundane over magic. I had a mini series on here talking about that, but basically it's like thinking realistically, thinking logically before assuming it's magic, because a lot of people like to just be like, oh, it's this thing and that, because it's not just witches, it's like everybody in general, different religions, different cultures, everybody does this, where they assume it's like some magical thing that's happening when probably it isn't. And I guess this is also, it leads into spiritual psychosis, which is very dangerous. I'm not trying to make fun of that or anything like that, it's very serious, but that's part of your intuition and using your discernment. So if it's hard for you to trust something, that's okay. And I guess the best way I can say to keep with that feeling is ask questions. That's a good way to do it. You don't have to immediately agree with anything or like that. You asking questions is enough to encourage your intuition to keep working and activate when something is going down, you know what I mean? So I feel like you're already there. Next question comes from Render Railer, a helper perspective for newcomers. Where to start, what to collect, what to study, been waiting for you. Oh, thank you. Okay, so as a newcomer, I did mention some books in the beginning of this. I mentioned working with certain elements. I also mentioned you don't have to buy everything. But to begin with, if I were to recommend, like, example, 5 items that I would start out with, get a good lighter. I'm telling you right now, get a good freaking lighter. I know that sounds really stupid, but if you're lighting candles constantly, you might want to get a good lighter. And I recently invested in an electric lighter, and I'll leave a link to mine in the description. You basically just recharge it. I don't have to refill the, with lighter fluid or go buy a new one. I just recharge my lighter, so I always have it on hand. Get something that would represent protection for you. And again, this doesn't have to pertain to, because not everyone believes in demons, not everyone believes in spirits, not everyone believes in gods and goddesses and deities, because it depends on the intention of what you have for this. So one of the first things I've ever bought for myself was a protection crystal. And there's a plethora of different crystals that you can buy. My favorite one is black tourmaline. I have black tourmaline always because that is a huge protection crystal for me. You can get it in like the actual crystal or jewelry for yourself, and just like let that be the intention. Like you say the intention into that crystal that you want it to be for protection, because regardless of what I just said, if you believe in spirits or not, think of it like it doesn't even have to be spirits. It could be like people wishing ill will on you, like some asshole at work who doesn't like you wishes you get fired, things like that. Like think of it in different ways, because it doesn't always have to be demonic or spiritual or whatever, because people always assume when I say I'm using this for protection, they think I'm saying protection from like a demon or whatever, because like I don't specifically have that belief, right? Like my belief system is very different, and I have this so that people don't with me, basically. And considering I'm an online figure as well, that's what I think about. So like when you go to work, think about the people you run into every single day. You don't know what their intentions are, and I feel like having something protective like that is very important. Number 3, mason jars. I know it's like you can even just get your old pasta jars, like save jars, glass jars, because not only could you use them in a spell, you can like put herbs in there, put your moon water in there, like it can hold things for you. And I love getting, like when I bought these and it comes with little jars, I like this because I can reuse it. So if I run out of hyssop, this herb that's in here, I'll just refill it, you know what I mean? I don't have to like waste things, especially when it comes to like the environment, because that is such a big deal to me. I don't like littering. I don't like, if I can find a way to like make sure that I don't contribute to garbage, a glass bottle is perfect because you can constantly reuse it. Like for this, for example, I can constantly put stuff in here until it breaks. And even if it does break, you can use that broken glass for other things like baneful magic and stuff, or protective magic. So it's all around glass jars are very, very useful. Number 4, it would be a journal for me. And I know that sounds really mundane, but one of the earliest practices I did when I started becoming a witch, or like even beforehand, was me journaling. Having a journal. I've had a journal since I was a little girl, because I would always be writing stuff of like what I want, or what I want to happen, or even saying what happened during my day. And I know it sounds really ordinary, but writing is a form of magic too. That is still a form of magic, because you can manifest with it. You can also do your shadow work with it too. So it's very versatile. Having a journal is so important, because you can also write down, if you want to make a grimoire, for example, you want to write down your spells that you make. Not only do you don't have to follow anybody's spells. You can make up your own spell. But the thing is, sometimes you don't remember what you did, because I do that a lot. I'll make something and then I'll forget how I did it. But luckily I have it written down. So like I feel like a journal is so important. Number 5 would be your voice. And what I don't mean that just literally you speaking, I mean confidence in yourself. Having confidence is so important when it comes to the craft, because I feel like especially nowadays when you see it online, and I get this sometimes too when I see other practitioners or other witches, they do a spell a certain way, and then I think to myself, oh should I have done it that way? Did I do it wrong? And 99.9% of the time I didn't do anything wrong. It's just like you know, this competition feeling, or like insecure feeling that you have, especially when you see things on social media, because not everything on social media is real. Most of the time it's performative, but I feel like your voice is such an important thing when it comes to your spell work. Being confident in yourself, understanding what you need rather than what people think of you, because most of the time the spell is for you, right? You're not doing it for somebody else specifically, but the power comes within you. You need to make sure you're up to date with like your mental health, you're secure about yourself, and not going to spiritual psychosis, because I see that so much often online, but just mainly taking care of your mental health. I feel like that's such an important part of your spiritual practice, because you're putting yourself into something, you know what I mean? This goes hand in hand with whether you work with goddesses or gods, regardless, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if you do worship somebody or not, it's still, you are a part of this, you are doing something, you are putting your energy, you're putting your time and stuff like that. So focusing on confidence, security, and mental health, and using your voice is such an important part of witchcraft, I believe. All right, next question comes from one of my mutuals, Veiled Hawthorne Tarot, and she says, what are your fave items in your personal craft, handmade or bought? Oh my gosh, okay, I have a couple. First of all, my jewelry is a must for me. I will always have protective jewelry on me, or something for my mental health, like enhancing my intuition or enhancing my confidence in myself. That is something I'm always wearing. That's important to me. Most of the time. I do have something, I wish I brought it over here, but I do have stuff on my work desk, which is from my dad. And since he's Hindu, I like to incorporate like elements of Hinduism and then elements of Catholicism from my mom's side, because that's just who I am, you know what I mean? So like anything personal in that regard, those are my favorite things apart of my practice. But yeah, I would say my jewelry, just because like they have so much meaning to me, in terms of like I've been using them every day for years, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's very important. And then also like my tarot decks too, like I have a problem. I have so many tarot decks in my house, and that's my favorite form of divination, just connecting with tarot cards and working with that. That's my favorite, absolute my favorite. We got another question here from Lewis. Can you please explain the many types of Scorpios and the difference between each one? Why are there so many, and how can I tell which Scorpio is me? What is the best zodiac sign compatible with Scorpio? How and why? Okay, so yeah, this might be a separate video. I might have to do a separate one for like astrology and stuff like that, because there are different archetypes when it comes to astrology signs. So I think what you're asking is like sun, moon, and rising. Those are like the big three when it comes to people's birth charts and stuff like that. I'm going to read something because I don't want to get it wrong. In astrology, the big three is your sun, your moon, your rising. So what that means is your birthday and the time you were born, the way the stars were in the sky. And this is like a huge thing in Hinduism, so I'm trying not to get this wrong, because like I've heard astrology my entire life from my dad. So what specifically it is the sun is kind of like, I guess, modern astrology, or like North American astrology. So, you know, when you say I was born, for example, me, I'm a Libra, that is my sun sign because I was born on October 10th, and that is your core identity. Your moon is supposed to represent your inner, like, emotional self, and your rising is how you present yourself to others. And then when you combine all of these, it gets you your personality. So the way you show yourself up to other people, the way you treat yourself, the way you handle emotions, the way you do certain things, the way you react to certain things as well. That is essentially what it is. And I'm assuming that's what you're talking about in terms of like why there's different types of Scorpios. Based on your question, who would be the best compatibility with a Scorpio sign, I think a Cancer. I think they would mesh well together. Again, I would have to go into detail in a separate video, but I would encourage you to look up your sun, moon, and rising signs as the big three, and then it will give you more in-depth. You can find calculators online. I will link the one that I use down below in the description if you want to look it up yourself. But generally speaking, like those three signs really describe who you are as a person and how you can navigate through, if you're trying to look for somebody, whether it's romantic or not, how you can be compatible with other people. All right, this next question comes from Ying. What are your favorite crystals to work with? Any advice for better grounding? Ooh, okay. One of my favorite crystals to work with is clear quartz. Clear quartz, I feel like, is the master crystal. This is just my opinion, because essentially I feel like it's kind of like a white candle. You can use it in terms of like replacing if you don't have some other candle. It's the crystal you can use if you don't have a certain crystal, and it's the biggest amplifier for like manifestation. So I always have it. Every single spell I do, doesn't matter what the hell it is, I am using a clear quartz to amplify my energy for that, because it's such big manifestation crystal. I think that would be my favorite. And in terms of like trying to ground yourself better, this is like, again, depends on the person. If I had to say for nowadays, get off social media, get off the internet. That is one step that you can ground yourself, because outside influences, especially the state of the world right now, is not the greatest, and it's very depressing, and it can let people spiral. I know that's 100%. So if I had to say, just get off the internet, go outside and enjoy nature if you're able to, even if it's like 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be like a long time. Just hang outside, go touch grass. And I'm being dead serious, like not the meme. There's a reason why it became a meme and why people say that. Touching grass, literally like bare feet in the ground. That is like the core way you can do it to ground yourself and just like enjoy yourself. Give yourself some time. Give yourself a break. Self-care is so important. Like I said, mental health is such an important part of being spiritual. It doesn't matter what religion, what culture. I always say, if you take care of yourself, then you're going to be able to amplify your energy into like whatever you're doing. And even if you don't believe in any of this stuff, you know what I mean? Just like in general, it's so important to take care of yourself. And that's like the forefront, to me at least, what witchcraft is meant to be. You have to take care of yourself in order to do this. All right, so that was my Q&A for all the questions that we got. Thank you so much if you sent in questions. And of course, I will do this again a little bit later down the road. So if you have any questions yourself and you would like me to answer them, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will get to them. And if you have any suggestions for tutorials and stuff like that, I will be happy to do that. I will start doing separate videos for the questions that I did get, because there was quite a bunch. And if you wanted to ask me about anything else, or want me to do a tutorial or something like that, please feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to do that. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it and subscribe. That does help the channel out so I can make more content like this. And I hope this was helpful and insightful, especially if you're new, or you're even like an advanced witch. I love hearing from other practitioners, because I feel like that's the best way we learn, is from each other. So I hope I can give some knowledge or something like that, to you. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!